there to go the Lance ban straight up. We've seen it picked a lot and banned a lot today, and just like that, so has been the Grace, and that is going to be the first ban for the side of Nebulae, and meanwhile Infamous are going to pick up that glaive for themselves, and this is looking dangerous for Nebulae going up against them. They've already got the glaive in their hands, although it's not going to go alongside Grace. Glaive is just already such a good pickup when put in the hands of Infamous.
Definitely. I mean, we saw Infamous just pulling out this glaive time and time again, and the amount of damage that glaive can put out in such short time is just immense. And we cannot forget as well glaive's initial gank potential that he has in that early game. We have a Finn coming out from the side of Nebulae, and on top of that, Catherine being banned out, and return we have Idris banned from the side of Infamous as well.
Yep, and now it leaves the side of Nebulae with pick choice here. They have so much to choose from right now. We could be seeing maybe the Scarf pick just so it gets taken away from the side of Infamous, but instead they're going to go for the Black Feather. And I understand Black Feather's a good pick and all, but it wasn't as if the side of Infamous would be picking up a Black Feather alongside a glaive.
Well, you never know. Maybe that glaive can be placed in that captain role, but all in all, picking out Black Feather, the side of not J-Trax, but the side of Infamous, they really need to consider this, because if they do go up against a Black Feather, if it's a weapon Black Feather, they might be in for a bit of trouble, because we know Black Feather can sustain so much longer as compared to glaive, whereas glaive is just high burst, high damage in a short period of time. And then you have Black Feather that wants to stay in a team fight for an awfully long time with those Serpent's Mask and Breaking Point Stack. And on top of that, extra skin, or rather not skin, but extra tankiness that's offered by Finn in terms of that polite company. So maybe the side of Infamous want to go for high burst hero just to outburst or outsustain this Black Feather that will be coming out from Nebulae. And we do see that Fox and Arden being picked up by the side of Infamous.
Yep, so it looks like they were used very wisely to think about their picks, picking up that Fox and Arden, but now there's the question of who is going to be weapon power and who's going to be CP, or will they try to do a double weapon power comp again like they did against Bren Esports? I mean, we know that we haven't seen CP Glaive in a long time, so would it be the CP box more likely?
I mean, we did see CP Glaive coming out for the side of Infamous in the previous week, if I remember correctly, with that utility Glaive, constant afterburn spell sword. I think it was Aftershock spell sword or something, and afterburn was up every 5 seconds. Chingy was just so difficult to take down because of the mobility provided by that afterburn. We might see something very similar today, but I'm quite surprised as to the Taka pickup and not, say, a Celeste. I mean, granted, for a Celeste being picked up, you risk getting ganked and you risk Glaive getting into the back lines trying to take you out immediately. But even a Taka going up against a Glaive, I don't think that would be the ideal as well. But all in all, it's just down to how Angry Uday will play on this Taka, and whether or not Angry Uday can gain that early advantage going up against Taka.
Yeah, that is the question indeed. A very interesting draft, to say the least. I'd manipulate the melee team comp there, and not really having any range except for the fact that Taka really is able to get onto the enemy quite easily. He has range in terms of using his abilities, but not so much in the rest of his kit. And it always goes to that question of the weapon power and CP, which will be put on what. You talked about before that weapon power Black Feather, although we've been seeing a lot of CP Black Feather in the VG8 recently, weapon power Black Feather still very much in the meta. So with that, I mean, it could be the case that they put that Black Feather onto weapon power and take Taka onto CP, which will obviously do a lot more damage, because I'm not too sure how I feel about weapon power Taka. I personally don't think it's utilizing his kit enough.
Definitely. I mean, weapon power Taka, you are relying on a basic attack to just constantly put out damage. But all in all, I personally think that the CP Black Feather, not CP Black Feather, but CP Taka, where you can just go in and then come out, go into your Kaku in a very short time, and then try to burst Spaghetti. If not, then Chingy down in that late game after you get your Aftershock into your Broken Myth will definitely be very, very good. But for a weapon Taka, he becomes very much like a bruiser of sorts, just relying on a basic attack and your Kaiten and Kaku and of course your Edgeretsu to just move around and move in between enemies. So very different in terms of playstyle. One is very burst heavy, one is just you just want to stay in the team fight for a very, very long time.
Yep, and we'll have to see now. I mean, it Taco double weapon blade pickup, but you can never be too sure. Of course, Truffy, who's going to be up in lane, taking that Book of Eulogies and light armor. It looks like a standard CP Black Feather start if you're going for CP Black Feather in lane, but I'm just not sure if that's going to work out enough. So it could always be the switch over for Truffy's to, from there, continue on building weapon power, and Iron Ryu died to sell those weapon blades and just using them more so for the first clear, because Taka has quite a slow clear at the start, so it's understandable that you'd go for the double weapon blades even if you're going for the CP build.
But even going for double weapon blade, usually you want to fully utilize that double weapon blade, because all in all, if you do not fully utilize it, it becomes very uneconomical throughout. Although SNK playing very aggressive against this Black Feather that's in lane, and I must agree with you, right? Double weapon blade, it allows you to farm faster, put out more damage if you are going to go up with for a gank. But all in all, it will be very uneconomical. You have to sell double weapon blade, and at the end of the day, it's just not worth it. Rather than you go one weapon blade into one Oak Heart, granted you clear a little slower, but all in all, that Oak Heart will turn into a Storm Crown, and you just will be only selling one weapon blade rather than both weapon blade.
Yeah, so we will have to see, as they've gone to buy already twice, and they've been pick up the Oak Heart and light armor for themselves. Meanwhile, Truffy's has yet to go back to basing on 1.5k. Might do so soon, but it's just getting pushed back from the enemy right now. As we see Iron Ryu die, getting caught backline by Chingy, who gets them with the Afterburn, and they are going to try chase them down, and it looks like they're going to be caught out of the Kaku. There's going to be the Polite Company to keep them alive, and Iron Ryu die. Maybe not the right decision to look for more fighting at this point. They do have the Kaku available to them in a few seconds, should be able to use it, but we're going into a pause for whatever reason.
Yep, for the players to probably sort out their connectivity issue, if not then any technicalities that they need ironing out. 2 minutes pause per team, per game. We have a total of 4 minutes. All in all, I guess the aggression coming out from Iron Gyudai is probably to compensate for the 2 early weapon blades that he got, and we saw as well that he can put out relatively a lot of damage, but Chingy just outburst him with double weapon blade as well, just part of Chingy's kit. And on top of that as well, the Afterburn can just put Iron Gyudai on that Taka out of position if Taka is unable to kiten across the stun and the punt that a glaive can put out.
Yep, and it's interesting looking at the build now that he's actually working with those double swift shooters, and that's more so to just focus on farm rather than early game damage, which is a good tactic because it shows how much more you're thinking towards the late game. But even just thinking towards the mid, you gain yourself ahead that much more early on. As you can see, Spaghetti sitting at 27 farm over to the 21 that Truffy's has, so it's definitely paying off for them. That little bit of gold is going to help him just that much more, as Spaghetti at 1,870 and Truffy still back just about 150 behind with the 1,695 gold. And we are back into the game. The pause is over, and we'll have to see how it goes as Chingy making the instant rotation up the lane to take Truffy's down with the Afterburn, and they get themselves the first blood. Infamous taking that away from the side of Nebulae. Very aggressive right there, and we saw Spaghetti did have the full Broken Heart stacks on him, so it was kind of dangerous for him to stick around there any longer. And Iron Gyudai be able to catch Spaghetti out because SNK is there with the Vanguard to keep him safe.
Yep, and Spaghetti, more often than not, we do see Spaghetti with the double Swifty pickup in that of the early game. But when Chingy goes up, actually when Chingy went up for that gank against Trophies, we did see Iron Gyudai and Delphi on that Finn, went into the jungle of Infamous and picked up that, picked up the mid-treant off the side of Infamous. So all in all, I guess it is worth it individually, although Chingy did get that 300 gold bonus from the first blood. But all in all, I don't think it will be much trouble for Nebulae if they constantly just stay farmed up and play for the late game, in which they are of very good caliber. I mean, their heroes itself just work so well in that of late game.
Yep, and we will see that they are putting a lot of down, might spot Iron Gyudai out, and they do manage to get into a fight, but it's in favor of Iron Gyudai as Chingy fairly low, already using that afterburn, now doesn't have a way to get out, but SNK is there to help them, and I think Iron Gyudai able to secure that mid camp, needs to be careful, caught between them all and Crystal Sentry there, and now Spaghetti making the rotation down, just not very good positioning after taking that mid camp, should have definitely ran away. They had Kaku available and instead are going to pay with their life.
Yep, they will, but it seems like Iron Gyudai may be in for some connectivity issue, as we saw here, as we are seeing here. He just stood at a standstill in that particular team fight, or rather, not team fight, but in that particular call out. Is that a word? And we are in 12-second pause. As usual, it will be to allow maybe Iron Gyudai in this case to sort out any connectivity issue that he is facing.
Yep, and with that, same as last time, 2-minute was with you that right after that, Spaghetti actually able to pick up the kill onto Trophies, so really doing a good job in this lane, staying at 53 farm over the 46 of Trophies, and is probably going to be able to get a bit more now that Trophies has to go all the way back from base up to the lane. But for now, it looks like Delphi is holding the lane steady. There won't be any early turrets being taken over, but Infamous so far looking quite strong. I mean, they've got 3 kills over to 0 on the side of Nebulae, and they've got a slight gold advantage, sitting at 11.5k over to the 9.4, which to be at a 2k advantage in this point of the game is quite massive for the side of Infamous.
I mean, 2k, 4 minutes in or 5 minutes in, definitely very, looking very good for the side of Infamous. Infamous as well, going into the jungle, or that's the mid jungle of the side of Nebulae to take away some farm. And Infamous usually the very aggressive team, and does quite help with Delphi on this Finn, as well as Spaghetti once again going very aggressive.
Yep, and no reason for them not to that easy back the side of Nebulae with that resonance damage, and Chingy now making turret, holding onto that afterburn, whether they want to use it offensively or as a escape mechanic, as we see they're able to get out. There's going to be the minion candies popped for the side of Infamous, but I'm not sure about that, as they're not really pushing in after it, more so just to buy Spaghetti and Chingy some more time as they go to the backs.
Yep, and one thing's for sure, it's that, with an Finn in your team, usually you want to just play really passive till your Finn gets at level 6, level 8 for the engagement with the first chord. If not, then your stun coming up from your Quibble as well. That is one thing maybe the players are keeping in mind from the side of Nebulae as to why they do not want to play as aggressive, because we do see Trophies now having that Serpent's Mask. Oh, Spaghetti.
Oh, it looks like Spaghetti going to dive on to the lane after picking up that Spell Sword. So it looks like, what are we seeing? I am actually confused here now that I look at the builds, but we'll take a second to look at those afterwards once this fight is over, whether Infamous decide to back out from it now or continue the aggression that they are able to put down. SNK going fairly low, however, it looks like Infamous just going to back out of this one. And I am very confused about the build on Iron Gyudai.
Okay, so for a Spell Sword, there are players that actually do build that Spell Sword in, you know, to replace that of Storm Crown. Firstly, the passive of Spell Sword as well. Whenever you attack an enemy hero, you gain back 9 energy. You get extra cooldown, you get extra energy on top of that. So I guess all in all, it works very well, relatively well with Tarka's kit. As you can tell, Iron Dai will not be, you know, using, or rather not making full use of the double weapon blade that he gets, but a fight will be happening in lane.
Yep, and it looks like SNK is Vitalga have tried back out of the fight for now, trying to get some more damage onto SNK, but it's really worth. Chingy and Spaghetti still around, and we do see Iron Dai back up in lane. Not sure about that use of Kaku, a bit interesting there. Maybe they still are having some connectivity issues as they dive in. Chingy used the afterburn but not able to catch them out, and now we see Taka just trying to stay alive on the backline but gets taken up. The double kill coming through for Glaive. The triple kill. Chingy gets the ace, and just this is why, man, about Glaive with just a Sorrow Blade. Of course, there's the Swift Shooter and the Minion's Foot, but basically the basic item on that Sorrow Blade is just such a power spike for the Glaive, and you can see it here as they manage to get the double kill with turret and even push that wave in, and they're going to get the gold mine off the back of this.
Yep, they will definitely get the gold mine, and I must say, although rather innovative, taking the initiation to actually go for that, you know, Spell Sword rather than a Storm Crown, but all in all, I personally think that your Spell Sword shouldn't come at all, because in all honesty, in Southeast Asia, in this particular patch itself, in 2.8, what we are seeing is actually an emergence of a Shattered Glass into Clockwork Tarka. Granted, in your early game, you are farming relatively slowly, and thus your laner constantly goes into your jungle to help you, farm and just get your items fast. But with a Shattered Glass and your Clockwork, you can just do immense amount of damage, and much more than your current build of the Storm Crown, and of course, if not, then your Spell Sword as well. So all in all, I guess that build does work for Tarka, but in the Vainglory 8 so far, we are not seeing that come out whatsoever. With that build, I'm pretty sure that, you know, Iron Dai can easily go into the team fight, burst Spaghetti down. I mean, Spaghetti at this point in time only has got a reflex block, no shield, no armor whatsoever.
Yep, and it looks like Taka gonna jump in once. Spaghetti very low but taken down. In return, SNK going in with that gauntlet, and you can see Spaghetti still trying to position themselves in the fight to be of use to the team of Infamous, but they really are looking for the second turret now. They need to be careful because Truffy's is on Spaghetti and he's trying to get something out of it, but he has to go through Chingy first, and Chingy going to be able to stop him picking up a kill and might even be able to pick up a turret here. It looks like they will. Taka rejoining the fight, but nothing they can do. The Resonance Bouncers catching them out of the Kaku, and it looks like they're going to be able to take down Doubtfire, and they're looking for the anchor turret already in this one push. Infamous, so aggressive right now, and that afterburn onto Angry Dai, very impressive. He manages to get out just barely with the Kaku, but there isn't anything Truffy's can do on his own to push away Infamous. They're going to go back, and I wouldn't really go so deep in against Infamous if I was Truffy's. He needs to be careful, uses the Rose offensive. He is trying to chase them down, and he has Taka behind you, but Infamous still looking very scary at this point as we see Spaghetti dancing around Truffy's, getting those stacks, has 5 breaking point stacks. It's going to drop off, however, but he manages to come around and clean up the kill onto the Taka, and now they're 10-0 at 10 minutes 53 in. They've got perfect kills at this point, and they're almost hitting that 10k gold lead at 10 minutes in. It would just be 10s around the board, but sadly, we do see the 11 minutes click over, and they are only seeing at 28.7. Slightly, I always say this, slightly behind the 19.8, but it's actually me looking at them getting to that 10k gold lead.
Yeah. Boo! Boo, 11 minutes, you destroyed the 10 and 10, but all in all, very well played coming up from Infamous, knowing really when to just put down pressure and be assertive in terms of their movements and maneuvers as well. We do see Spaghetti though still going for the very glass cannon-y build, having got that tornado trigger and a salvo in a pocket, probably into 2 tornado triggers. That way, Spaghetti just going for max crit build. but he needs time to rev up in the matches, in the team fights itself. So it's just down to Chingy to put out as much damage as possible in the initial start for Spaghetti to just rev up. When Spaghetti gets the damage, gets the items, or rather gets his stacks, breaking point stacks, and Spaghetti will just be able to just clean up and clear up the entirety of Nebulae. And although it's double weapon power, but we are seeing not a lot of armors coming out from the entirety of Nebulae. Granted, trophies have built an early Atlas Pauldron. Delphi has an Atlas Pauldron and going for a metal jacket, I hope. But Iron Yudai only sitting on a light shield, if not that, on a light armor itself. And that is one thing maybe Nebulae has considered. Maybe just ditch the spell sword. All in all, go for the Shatter Glass Clockwork if you want for the high burst, or rather it's high damage build, but there's a lot of gamble that you need to play as well.
Yeah, definitely a very risky build to go in with. Just be what they need to. I guess force aggression with aggression. We've seen it before. It definitely works out. And against a team like Infamous is tough as we see them go in with just so much damage, that gauntlet landing, and they take out Truffy's instantly. Iron Yudai was forced back, and then they managed to find the kill onto Delphi, who just really can't run anywhere away from this team, and they're going to be able to take the turret. It's only Iron Yudai up. They're going to get the second one instantly, and they're going to shut down this game. 13 minutes, and I'd say, depends how greedy they get here. Looks like it'll be 13 minutes, 37 in, is my guess. But no, Infamous still going for more. They tried to find Delphi as well, forcing them back into the base. And okay, it's going to be 13 minutes, 42, 3, 4 seconds.
There you go. But Spaghetti actually managed to take down Iron Yudai just when Iron Yudai went into the base. Spaghetti took one fountain tick, but came out alive. I mean, just looking at his build, he has got a breaking point, double TT, and one Tyrant's Monaco, just 13 minutes in, sitting at 160 CS. It is definitely a snowball coming out from the side of Infamous. What do you reckon, I request to do, that the side of Nebula could do or should do to possibly pose some kind of threat into Infamous?
Well, I think they have to take that risk that you were talking about just building a lot of burst damage themselves, and to really bring the fight against Infamous that way, because you can't be passive at all when going against a team like Infamous. They will just stomp the game out and end it before you can get anywhere. So it's like what I talked about when we were on break, that really teams that bring it to Infamous and that can really oppose them, put up a fight, these teams such as like Impunity and Bren Esports that we've seen, because they're also able to play so aggressively. So I think that it is about, you know, with how aggressive Infamous plays, you've just got to fight fire with fire. Okay,
so I must say, Infamous definitely put up a very, very good fight, or rather, Nebulae definitely put up a very good fight, but it's just not enough going up against that of Infamous. Infamous has been a very strong team for a couple of seasons now, and in fact they were top of the charts in terms of point standings in the previous season, and coming into this season I don't think they want to be kicked off their throne just yet. So honestly, you know, if thinking about it, Nebulae really have to work around a certain set of rules. Firstly, be aggressive going up against Infamous. Maybe pick up team comms that allow them to just try to snowball the early game, because that is what we saw coming out from Bren Esports. Bren Esports picked out a comm that can snowball out in the early game, pushing Infamous back. So whether or not Nebulae can adapt fast and adapt quickly is another topic together. But Nebulae definitely do stand and will stand a chance going up against Infamous. At least that is what my thought is. I mean, casters, all in all, we are rooting for the underdogs. Nebulae, in this case, are definitely the underdogs.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And it was a question of when we've fact that I believe this is the first time for this season, at least, that we're seeing a team other than Impunity go against Infamous in the finals. So we'll just have to see whether Nebulae are able to bring out anything in the second match. So with that, the draft is ready. And without further ado, let's just jump right in.
So coming into this draft, maybe it's really difficult to draft against that of Infamous. Now on the red side, and we have Nebulae now on the blue side. And the only reason I say it's so difficult to draft against them, granted you can ban out that of Glaive. I was about to say Glaive, not Lance, but you do remove the Lance from yourself, from your own kit, in which you can use, but it's so difficult to draft against Infamous. Only reason being Infamous's hero pool is just so large, so wide, and they can't really just play around with every other hero out there. I mean, just in yesterday's game, we saw a CP jungling Ringo, and we saw a Flicker as well coming out from Infamous. So they are very well adapted to the 35 heroes, or rather 34 heroes on the fold, but we do see the Glaive being banned out from the side of Infamous.
Yep, and there's going to be the Grace pickup coming up in return, but there is coming through. All these heroes that don't get banned out already just getting picked up on the fold, and now we see the Black Feather. So overall with these bans, you know, the bans that went through were fairly common for what we've seen today, but it's also the picks are those that we've seen a lot of either getting picked up first or banned out first. So I mean, both teams really going for those meta picks, and I think that's the best thing you can do when going against Infamous is just ban out the most meta things you can and ban out just what you don't want to play against, I think.
Well, definitely. I mean, the side of Nebulae will be taking their time to think of the second ban, as the next pick will be going over to the side of Infamous. For the second ban, they can really just ban out maybe that Fox. If not, then, I mean, Glaive has been banned out by Infamous themselves. If not, then just ban out a mage that did not want to meet when going up against Infamous. I mean, at this point in time, Chingy has been rather flexible all in all with his play, but he usually would settle for weapon carries and not, say, you know, crystal carries at all. I don't remember seeing a match that he played a CP carry. So having a Cruel being banned out, okay. This is a rather interesting draft coming out from the side of Infamous.
Yeah, and the Finn pickup, I don't know, Joe, the side of Nebulae, how you integrate Finn into a team comp, because definitely the previous draft where we saw the Finn Black Feather Taka comp, not the most common to run alongside of Finn, but Idris we've seen before a lot of times go alongside this Finn.
Yep, Idris, I mean, all in all, Finn in itself, it's a rather situational pickup, I must say. It is not, say, it shouldn't be prioritized at all, because there are other, you know, better captains out there, or rather, when I say better, I mean more mobile as compared to that Finn. We have Catherine on the fold, we have Arden as well, but coming up from the side of Nebulae, we will be seeing a Baptiste. Baptiste going up against a Finn, I'm not sure what to think of that all in all, but I must say, Nebulae's draft, this game, look rather good. If you'd ask me, I think their draft looks very, very good. In fact, you have Baptiste that can put down the Ordain onto Celeste, have Vox just put out so much damage, and you have Grace as well to be able to go into the backlines, take out Celeste, if not then take out Idris, and the Divine Intervention, that is something that Grace can do at level 6, and after she picks up an Echo, she can just change fights and turn the tides of battles. So it is down to how Nebulae will play around the Divine Intervention, and of course, the Baptiste and the Fear and Ordain as well. So looking very ripe and nice for the side of Nebulae. As for the side of Infamous, it is just down to how, I mean, really, if you think about it, for the side of Infamous, they can't really just pull out any comp they want, but whether or not they can just push the early game advantage against the Baptiste with a Celeste, and of course, that of Idris as well, because there has been a lot of emphasis, and I've said it time and time again, Idris just farms so poorly in the early game. Celeste needs time to rev up as compared to Baptiste as well. So I'm on the side of Nebulae at this point in time. I like Nebulae's draft. What about you? I request a duel.
Well, I do think that it is interesting to see Idris. Of course, it's a good frontline hero with a good backline hero, but in the case of farming that you talked about, which is so important, trying to get Celeste towards that late game, although in this case it will be a weapon power Idris, so I think less less reliant on getting so many items before they can start being effective. I do think Weapon Power has a bit of an easier early game as opposed to that of CP. And in that case, they might be able to pull through on the back of that. And they might even still decide to give over some of this farm to really help Celeste get ahead in the early game and just ride off the backs of that.
Yep, definitely. I must agree with you. But all in all, if you were to ask me, the side of Nebulae can definitely go on as the aggressors in this game as compared to, say, Infamous. Like I said, for a Finn in the early game, you generally would try to just hold back, stay back, and not put as much, pressure because you do not have the hook, you don't have your stun on your Quibble as well. As we do see, though, Nebulae is still very hesitant into going in, although they have a Grace.
Ooh, Dalfa getting caught out in that court. Pull them in, and they're going to be able to put down a fair bit of pressure. So even if Nebulae would be looking the ones to play aggressively, I think Infamous just too confident in playing that playstyle themselves already. You can see them as they roam up to lane. SNK just going right up to Truffy's face, even though he's taking a fair bit of damage for it, not afraid to do so.
Oh, Chingy getting caught out by Doubtfire and that of Iron View Die, but
does get caught out. However, the Treants did manage to lock down Doubtfire and Angry Udai. Chingy trying to get the kill onto Doubtfire here, but Angry Udai was able to steal away that Treant, and now it's going to be up to SNK to try keep him there, allow Chingy to pick up a kill. It looks like it might be the case because Doubtfire fairly low, not in a position to really save them unless they want to give away their own life. Chingy has the Core Collapse available once again, using it, able to pick up that kill. The first blood going over to them, and Doubtfire, if they get caught out by one more auto attack, will go down. But Chingy instead turning their attention to this Treant, but it might be dealing a bit too much damage to do on their own. Yes, they do need SNK there to tank it up for them, rather than making a silly mistake at the start of the game. And they're going to be able to take it anyway without any contest. And now just focusing on their own farm and looking up at lane. We've got, both laners just going back at for their first backs. And if we look over to Spaghetti, generally going for the usual build there, starting to build towards that early Sorrow Blade, and Truffy's more than likely might go for... We could see a breaking point on Truffy's. We've seen a breaking point on boxes before early on, and it might have been Truffy's that did so earlier today.
Yep, I mean, Truffy's can go for the breaking point. I mean, we are seeing him he is picking up, or rather he has 2 damage attack speed item with double Swifty, but out of the home, I thought.
Oh yes, as we see the response to Nebulae's aggression there, and they're going to be able to get out, but SNK is so very low, able to get out alive and not give over a kill. Meanwhile, Spaghetti getting caught up in the 1v3 situation is going to be able to dash out of that one, but still gets knocked up from the Holy Nova. Luckily finds the safety of his turret for now, and is just using these chakrams and his own basic attacks to really clear through the farm at the moment, keeping a good amount of CS and keeping up ahead of Truffy's at this point, as he's going to be able to clear out this wave, seeing at 38 CS over to the 35 of Truffy's, and now have to claim that up to 41. So Spaghetti doing a bad job in this early game up lane, and we see Truffy's actually picking up that Poison Shib first, so not a bad pick up at all to keep them, help them be sustained as well, and help remove any of the healing away from the enemy team. But we'll have to see about that, as SNK now making his way up, just holding lane as Spaghetti is going to go to shop, and let's see what they pick up is going to be that Sorrow Blade that was expected as their first item.
Yep, and I'm really liking of how Nebulae is actually trying to put pressure into lane, only because of how Spaghetti is so weak in the early game in terms of farming.
But it looks like trying to get the most out of it, and they almost got Spaghetti as well, but he's going to make it back to his turret, and SNK at the moment just soaking up a lot of damage. Chingy not yet with that level 6, it'll be up in a matter of seconds however, so they don't have the Solar Storm just yet, but Spaghetti doing an alright job at managing to keep the enemy off of that initial turret.
Yep, Chingy's positioning pre-level 8 really has to keep that on board, because what happened then really was Chingy came in from the back lines, but easily allowed Delphi to go through. Although SNK wasn't there, it was a 1v3, or rather it was a 2v3 throughout that fight. Spaghetti going in, Holy Nova misses.
Yep, and we see that Infamous now going to go in and try and go off the back of that one, but they realize that it might not be the best idea right then and there. But Spaghetti gets caught out in the Ordained, and he's going to be followed up with the Holy Nova. Good chain of CC, and there's going to be the Solar Storm coming through onto Doubtfire, making them have to back out of the fight. I think Truckbees might have even taken a bit of damage from that. Doubtfire not yet with the Divine Intervention up, can't heal Truckbees back up at this point, so Infamous going to try push onto this initial turret, but there's going to be the Fearsome Shade to push them back. Core Collapse lands onto Iron You Die, and they're going to continue pushing onto this turret, and Doubtfire making their way back in. You could see before the synergy on the side of Nebulae a lot better with what they have here, but Ordained and the Holy Nova, great combo. You either have to stay inside the Ordained to not get stunned out, but then Grace will be able to jump in there with the Holy Nova and knock you up. Otherwise, you're just going to get stunned out by both of them. So it's kind of a win-loss? No, just loss-loss for the side of Infamous when they get caught out in those situations.
Yeah, but I really want to see if the side of Nebulae can just continue to push and put pressure in this early game, only because now Chingy is at level 7. Spaghetti has got a Sorrow Blade now, and by the time Chingy gets a level 8, that is the greatest power spike for Celeste. And on top of that, it will be very difficult for Batiste to actually reach Celeste, when Celeste gets, that level 8 and just be able to just drop Helios, left, right, and center, and there will be no way for Iron Gyudai to even get close. However, this first turret will definitely fall very, very soon.
Yep, and it looks like it will go down very about fight, but Spaghetti just going to be able to jump past Grace there with the Shroud Step, and it's now he's going off weapon power to actually use a blink in that case, so very hard to stop him from doing so. Shroud Step in there and then uses the Chakram to take it down. And now we see a Shattered Glass being picked up onto Iron Gyudai, the first tier 3 item, so slightly behind of Chingy. Of course, Chingy going for the cheaper option of getting the Frostburn first, and what will be the follow-up item after they clear these minions here of the Eve of Harvest. So Chingy, a whole item ahead at this point. It's pretty good to see for the side of Infamous, as they've only got a 2k gold lead at 8 minutes in, although it just shows how much that really matters to them and how much it makes a difference in the builds.
Yep, all in all, Infamous still looking very strong, but Nebulae is definitely not out of the picture just yet. Iron Gyudai getting caught up by SNK.
Yep, and it looks like Solar Storm gonna come through. They're gonna race Batiste, and now Truppy's left on his own to defend his turret, but this is Infamous pushing it. They're just going straight for the objective, and Truffy's your second thought. You should have ran. You lost your opportunity. You're going to get caught out with the Core Collapse into the Quibble. That's going to be able to pick up that kill and return back to base alongside SNK, but maybe they're getting ready to fire again. There's a polite company to keep Spaghetti alive, but he gets knocked up with the Holy Nova. Had to stand still not to get caught out by the Ordained. Moves around to the backline, and there's going to be the Fountain used for the side of Nebulae, but it's not going to save Iron Gyudai's life, and Doubtfire now left on their own to defend this one. Truffy's making the return to the turret, however, and Infamous pushing through the enemy base after taking 2 turrets. They're going to take the first Crystal Sentry of the game.
Oh wow, what a fight coming up from Infamous there. I had thought the return of Iron Gyudai and Doubtfire could have just changed that around, because Spaghetti and Chi were awfully low and Iron Gyudai and Doubtfire were full health, but they just couldn't do anything whatsoever when it came back, and in the end Iron Gyudai got caught out. I mean, it was a very good Holy Nova coming out from Doubtfire on that Grace, but all in all it just did not do enough for the side of Nebulae. But like I said, I do not discount Nebulae whatsoever out of this team fight. Infamous still has got, I mean, the side of Nebulae still has got a chance. And we saw this coming up from Brand Esports as well, right? When Brand Esports were up against J3X Inferno had a 9k gold lead, and in the end, Brand Esports could come back from it. So I'm expecting maybe something along those lines between Nebulae and Infamous, but Infamous just looking so strong right now. It even is an offense for me to say that, but all in all, I still have faith, right? Always believe, keep believing.
Yes, keep believing indeed, and that's what Nebulae have to try and hope for. I mean, ahead 0.9k over to the 20.1k gold, so it's not impossible, and they're going to prove just that as they manage to catch out Spaghetti, and they're going to follow through onto SNK, doing a lot of damage there. The breaking point stack stacking up for Truffy's now sitting at 7. Divine Intervention used onto Iron Gudai. Nebulae trying to look for something, trying to get a comeback here. They haven't got any damage onto this turret just yet, but they're going to go for kills instead. Jumping onto SNK, not sure if that's the right target, especially if you're trying to land the Holy Nova. And they're going to be forced back, maybe not making the best of the opportunity of taking Spaghetti out, because Spaghetti is going to return with a vengeance on the team of Nebulae, who are already low health and low energy, having to back to base. Iron Gudai, however, going through his jungle, making sure he gets that cleared, as he is sitting at 34 farm over to Chingy's 68 farm. That is quite the difference there, and I think if anything, Iron Gudai is just going to have to be relied on for using those Ordains in the fight most of the time, as he's fallen behind a bit on the damage side of things.
Yep, definitely. I mean, for a Batiste, your builds are generally very, very cheap. You just want your Shatter Glass, you want your Clockwork, and bam, you can just put out so much damage when you're empowered. And then you build some little defenses, and then you go for your Broken Myth afterwards. That way, your Batiste have got a lot of damage. But in this case, it's just so difficult to just go up against Chingy with 3 or rather 2 full items. So,
and it looks like they're going to go in. They managed to pick up the great follow. The strike is going to make it. Spaghetti cleaning up here, but he needs to be careful. Truffy's building up those breaking point stacks, sitting at 9, but he's going to get caught out by the... Oh no, he manages to block the core collapse, and he's going to be able to take some
triple kill.
Doing his best to go back. The Quibble is going to secure the ace. Oh my, Truffy's doing an amazing job on this box for the position that the Nebulae team are in right now, and they're going to lose a turret to Infamous, the anchor turret to be precise, so it's looking dire already for the side of Nebulae, but they have an opportunity to come back, especially with Chingy with no defense here. Just sitting on that O-Cart is really squishy, and you could see there Chingy thought they could take a fight with Truffy's at first, had to back off, and now Spaghetti going to use their Shroud Step to get out of that one. They do get stunned up, but they got out of the clutches of Nebulae for now.
Yep, all in all, Nebulae could have picked... I mean, maybe what they should do, or the side of Nebulae should do, is just went for the tried and used and proven team comp they like to run, and that is to protect the carry comp, right? Usually when you see and when you watch Nebulae's game, what you see more often than not would be Iron Gudai on a lance or something, and then you have Delphire just protecting Truffy's with their dear life. And we saw just Truffy's positioning and how he was playing. He could have almost got a triple kill for the team, but he just got caught up by SNK and that little Quibble that he, that little troll can put out. But all in all, if they actually just went and decided to go protect Truffy's with our dear life, maybe it'll work something out. It might just work something out, because that is something that you've been saying as well, that maybe Iron Gudai should not go for damage, instead just work on the Ordain and those fearsome shades.
Yep, and we now see the... Ooh. Just yet. And Nebulae might be looking for a fight. They used for Ordain. They managed to get the block out of Chingy. So this could be the chance to go in with the Holy Nova, but Nebulae not sure to follow up if they have the damages. Dalfa is actually the one getting pinned down. Great use of the Fearsome Shade to catch out Chingy, and then followed up with the Ordain. But there's going to be Spaghetti on the backline. Divine Intervention keeping Iron Gudai alive, though, and Truffy's doing what they can to build up these stacks, but they need to be careful to dodge out all the damage coming out from the side of Infamous. Spaghetti chasing down Iron Gudai, manages to pick up the kill, and Truffy's going to go down to Chingy. There's the ace coming through for Infamous. They're staying strong and pushing through with these aced up minions right into the enemy base.
That is a lot. That is such huge wave for the side of Infamous. They can easily just close this game out. I hate to call GG, but the amount of damage coming out from both Spaghetti and Chingy is just immense. Just look at how fast they are taking the turret, and this just might be GG going over to the side of Infamous.
Oh, well, Spaghetti, knowing he can take the second to take him down. Meanwhile, even though Chingy had fallen to the hands of Truffes, it didn't matter in the end, as Infamous able to take the finals of Week 3, Split 1. I got it right that time, 2-0.
You definitely did. Big congratulations to Infamous taking first spot and Nebulae second spot, and of course you have Brand Esports, the one of the up-and-coming teams to watch out for, clinching the third place spot for this week, for the final week of Split 1.
Yep, and with that, okay, so with that, I mean, it was a very tough game for Nebulae to go up against Infamous. I mean, we saw that previously. It's always been Impunity versus Infamous, and those have been much closer games